So, I've dipped my toes into the water of character-focused charm videos, and even if I did 2 series-wide ones, there is still plenty to unpack in terms of season-by-season content. I've always been a mixture of mainstream opinions and then some really unpopular ones. And I mean the really unpopular opinions. Like how I kinda sorta love Billy Jenkins as a character and Season 8, and how Prue is my least favourite Halliwell, and overall I favour the later seasons. And while I am reconsidering my dislike of Miss Prudence, one opinion regarding the Prue era remains unchanged. I really don't like Season 2.
What are you talking about?
I've been asked for my season-by-season rankings a few times, and I think it's no secret that 4 gets the top spot. Next on the list is 3, which makes sense since the two are very similar, and after that is actually where 8 comes in. RIP comment section. Then it's 1, and 5 and 7 eternally swap places depending on my mood. 6 is my least favourite, and then 2 comes in second last. Now, that's not to say some of the lower ranked seasons don't contain episodes that I love, or indeed that the top ranked seasons like 3 and 4 don't have episodes I dislike. Indeed, 2 contains 2 of my favourite episodes across the whole series. But what makes a charmed season endear itself to me is not the sum of its parts, but in another way that I can't sum up in just one sentence, so I guess I'll have to take a whole video to do so.
The power of 3.
Running through the episodes, first we got the season premiere Witch Trial, and that's one I love.
He chose to walk through that door not because of who you are, honey, but because of who he was.
Protector of the innocent, just like us.
It's a good opener and kicks things off on a strong enough note. Next is Morality Bites, one of the best episodes in the series, and one I loved so much it was my very first Anatomy of an episode. The painted world is fun enough. The devil's music? Not bad. She's a man, baby, a man. Ugh. That old black magic? Good God. They're everywhere? Nope. P3H2O I want to like, and the concept is good, but the execution leaves a lot to be desired. Ms. Hellfire? Yeah, that's pretty fun.
A good play.
Heartbreak City? Nope. Reckless Abandon? Meh. Awakened? Another good concept, but subpar execution. Animal Pragmatism? Another good god. Pardon My Past? That's more like it. Give Me a Sign? Alright. Murphy's Luck? Meh. How to Make a Quilt Out of Americans? Nope.
Had it.
Chick Flick? Yes. Love. Ex Libris? Astral Monkey? Meh, but good ending though.
We tried to save him. No, we didn't.
Apocalypse Not? And Be Careful What You Wish For, ending things on a strong enough note.
Good idea.
See, my dislike of Season 2 can be attributed to something called the sophomore slump, referring both to a band or artist that releases a lackluster second album in the wake of a successful first, or else a pro athlete with an underwhelming second year. In both cases, what comes next tends to be better. In the case of Charmed, there was a flawed but overall very good first season, and then an incredible third.
Obviously.
What I especially love about Season 1 is its atmosphere. When I recapped Something Wicker This Way Comes, I was struck by how every other scene was under cover of darkness, thunder, lightning, or fog for a really cool, modern Gothic feel. The enemies of Season 1 were often the most interesting, like the Wendigo who turns you into a werewolf and eats the heart of someone with your blood type, or Callie who's trapped in a mirror and has to influence a teenager to do her dirty work, and the Woogie Man who possesses Phoebe and takes over the house, and the Grimlocks. Sorry, I just gotta gush about the Grimlocks. I make no secret of the fact that I'm a horror fan, so Season 1's horror influences are very much appreciated. And sometimes the execution might not be stellar, but the concept is still interesting, like Dream Sorcerer or Feats of Clay. And the episodes that have more of a romance or dramatic leaning, like Dead Man Dating and That 70s episode, know how to tug at the heartstrings in the right way.
I wish.
I know. Me too.
And in terms of series-wide arcs, Season 1 was obviously hampered by Aaron Spelling's preference to have everything be standalone to allow viewers to tune in whenever and not get confused, so the only arcs were Rex and Hannah and the doubt around Andy figuring out Prue's secret. But of course, Charmed fans aren't here for the story arcs. Unless they're good, of course. As long as the standalone episodes are fun, good, and give us some nice sisterly moments between the Halliwells, we're good. So let's compare Season 2.
Oh, wait, a saving fee.
Now, the pluses of this second year include overall improved production values and special effects, allowing for some quite decent action scenes that the third season would build on. The actresses have also slotted into their characters nicely, and the chemistry between them is stronger than ever.
Sweetie.
In terms of Prue, this is actually the season I find her most engaging in.
The oldest sister, always supposed to be able to figure things out.
And the moments where I really connect with her are all in Season 2 episodes.
Are you a little too eager to play this role?
It's not a bad role to play.
Superficially, I also love the wardrobes. Season 2 saw the hiring of Ailish Zabrowski as the costume designer, and we wouldn't be able to fault her fashion choices until about Season 6. And of course, some of the good episodes of this season are incredible, like Morality Bites and Pardon My Past, with a few fun ones like Miss Hellfire and Chick Flick. But again, Season 2 dumps the great atmosphere of the previous year, which isn't a bad idea on paper, since as I said before, now the Halliwells are more experienced as witches, meaning the magical world wouldn't be as mysterious or scary this time around. But the problem comes when what it's being exchanged for can't hold a candle to its predecessor. Season 2 is just bland. There's often no tone beyond melodrama, making you sometimes feel like you're watching Melrose Place with the occasional demon battle thrown in there. Magic gets dialed back to the point that in some episodes it almost feels like an afterthought. It's like when Sabrina the Teenage Witch in its 5th season exchanged its fun, goofy sitcom persona for a Felicity-style college drama in an attempt at having the series mature, but in doing so just took away a lot of what made it special. A more successful example of a tone switch is Buffy Season 2, which started off with the same B-movie parody vibe as 1, but slowly phased in darker elements for a bleaker and gloomier atmosphere, which was to the show's strength. In Charmed Season 1, the lower production values were balanced out by the atmosphere and creative ways of writing around limitations. In Season 2, the atmosphere was abandoned and exchanged for daytime soap lighting and concepts that have an uphill battle now that there isn't anything to help make them work. The best episodes of the season are Morality Bites and Pardon My Past, which both rely on exchanging the usual setting for something outside the box. In this case, a bad alternate future or an extended flashback to the 1920s. The Painted World is fun because the setting of the castle inside the painting keeps things interesting, and Miss Hellfire then leans into the escapism of impersonating a hitwoman, then setting up a climax where Prue herself is the antagonist.
I won't let you kill my sisters.
Chick Flick again is fun because a slasher movie parody is pretty hard to do wrong once you're being affectionate.
Hello, privacy. Hello, axe murderer.
And obviously not every episode has the budget to go out on location and have impressive special effects, especially since behind the scenes it was a constant struggle to even get what they had. But take Season 1's Is There a Woogie in the House, which takes place majority in the manor, with everything else being on a pre-existing set like Buckland's and only a handful of location scenes. Everything is budget-friendly, but it's still one of my favourite episodes, thanks to good writing, a good concept, and again, atmosphere. The Woogie Man is literally just a featureless whiff of black smoke, and yet is such an effective antagonist I still get chills when Phoebe overcomes her fear of the basement to vanquish it.
You cannot have this Halliwell.
Callie from The Fourth Sister likewise has most of her scenes inside a mirror's reflection, making her easy to film, but the writing did the rest of the heavy lifting, and the climax was very satisfying. Any memorable Season 2 Demons of the Week? Okay, the Dragon Demon from the finale is kinda cool, and he gets bonus points for successfully killing a charmed one, and I like Abraxas from the premiere too, but that's it. The Succubus from She's a Man could have been so cool, like Callie, but nope. This is what we get. I love the concept of the water demon from P3H2O, especially with how it evokes a Kelpie from Scottish folklore, but it's just defeated way too easily. To Arthur is memorable, but not in a good way.
My wand. Where's my wand?
You're... what?
My wand! Where is it?
People complain about how things got lighter and softer in Season 5, but at least the Demons of the Week were still fun. The Sea Hag, the Siren, Orin, Bakara, the Crone, and the Titans were all enjoyable.
Freedom's lost must be unwitting into the glass to do my bidding.
Season 2 feels less fun and special because it doesn't seem to know what it wants to be. There's also the love triangle that I've spoken before about my disdain for.
Hey, Leo. Coming?
I think Greg Vaughan is a fine actor, and there are one or two times I connect with his character, but if it wasn't for the hot mess that was the Cole storyline in Season 5, this would easily win out for being the worst Charmed storyline.
I saw him first. Demons now, drooling later.
For starters, Witch Trial very obviously sets up Dan as a potential Phoebe love interest, and this is then abandoned to focus on him and Piper. The idea of the Muggle love interest offering a chance at a normal life and some stability has potential, but love triangles in general are hard to get invested in. At least for me, because generally speaking, it's like, no matter what happens to either of the guys, Piper's still gonna have a spare.
I'm gonna fight for you. Maybe the best man win.
It's also very obvious that Leo would be the one. They did a whole episode towards the end of the first season where Piper thought he was dead, and her heartbreak and love for him is what allowed him to be healed.
I love you, Leo. Please hear me.
The second episode of this season was all about showing them a possible future where they didn't work out, and them resolving to make sure to work on their issues now knowing what could result. The Dan character is the type who should have been a 2 or 3 episode deal. Instead, this romance is stretched out across most of the season. And even though he was only in 1 season, he'd overstayed his welcome by the end, and they had to keep doing things to keep him in the game until the end of the season when he could be written out.
Leo isn't who he says he is.
Sure, the idea of a jilted ex-boyfriend of Piper's being suspicious of Leo and doing some digging had potential, but does it go anywhere? It reveals that Leo had a wife when he was alive, but that's about it. Dan finds out about magic in the finale, but it's all undone when the wish is reversed. And then there's interesting characters like Dr. Williams from Astral Monkey and Awakened, and they try to give him like a season-long arc in 1 episode.
We can help you, but you have to stop hurting people. It's over.
If you say so.
Personally, I would have merged Dan with Dr. Williams or done a similar deal where Awakened was maybe episode 3 of the season, and Piper would have caught her fever in Witch Trial. She'd make her miraculous recovery, and he'd spend the first part of the season doing tests to try and work out what the cure was, and she'd keep going because she thinks he's cute or whatever. They'd hook up for a while, then comes the Leo stuff, she'd split up, and then he'd begin on his experimenting and slowly go down a dark path over a few episodes before they figured him out. He gets killed in the penultimate episode, or cured. Did find it kind of lazy the way that Prue just sets him up to die. And the finale is confronting the demon that killed Patty. That would at least make him feel less like a very pointless addition to the show. But speaking of pointless...
Please, it's an emergency. Please?
I actually don't hate Jenny, though I do maintain that she was sometimes written by someone who clearly didn't like teenagers.
Everybody's in charge, but not me. Not ever. Why is that?
She's in 4 episodes and then flies the coop back to her parents, which we don't find out about until Miss Hellfire.
Since Jenny moved back with her folks, there's just...
Supposedly she was written out because she served no purpose, and I'm like, you went to the trouble of putting her in the opening credits, integrating her into the sisters' lives, and treating her like a main character, and you didn't have a plan for her? And when you realize she served no purpose, how about giving her one? She could have found out about the sisters' magic and created conflict over whether she should keep things from her uncle. She could have opened doors for the sisters to help different kinds of innocence. She could have given Dan something to do besides being Piper's man candy.
An hour?
School night.
Half an hour.
Bringing a young teenager into the proceedings can actually be a good way to shake things up, especially since Jenny created some nice conflict in The Devil's Music when she sneaks into P3 and ends up as Maslin's victim, and she also provided some nice emotional support for Kyle in That Old Black Magic, in one of the scenes in that episode I didn't hate.
Phoebe once told me that if it matters to you, it matters. So if they think you're somebody, Kyle, then you probably are.
And that's really the biggest problem I have with Season 2. Concepts that are good, giving them solid foundations to build an episode on, but not utilized well.
Did you get in trouble?
Yeah, actually, a lot.
Leo's arc of getting demoted from White Lighter to Mortal was all about this.
They clipped my wings.
What?
They set up a weird reason for it to happen. Piper is the victim of a mortal disease, and him healing her is breaking all the rules since there's no magic involved. Odd reasoning, but fine. He breaks the rules, he pays the price. You knew it would be undone eventually, and it just happens in the lamest way.
I want my powers back! I want it back now!
Prue is in danger of jumping off a bridge because of a spirit killer. Hey there, Arnold Vosloo. And Leo gets frustrated that he can't just orb there to save her. So he just yells up at the sky and becomes a White Lighter again. Some punishment, huh? And when he gets his powers back, it doesn't even serve the story, because Prue has already fought off the spirit killer's influence.
How did you...
You bastard, how dare you hurt people this way?
It's all just very anticlimactic to me. Season 7's arc building to Leo becoming human was done much better, and the episode it happened in gives it the proper oomph and circumstance.
What the hell just happened?
He has fallen from grace.
And Daryl finding out about magic is done so anticlimactically too, which I already talked about.
We're witches.
Big character moments and plot twists are just tossed in there feeling like afterthoughts. One of the reasons I favour the later seasons is that the scripts and direction of even the average standalone episodes were at least of a certain quality. And pacing. I know P3H2O is a fan favourite episode, but I struggle to connect with it because of how the great concept just isn't utilised well. The pacing is so weirdly slow, and the big battle with this huge evil that killed their mother and is responsible for nearly 3 decades of trauma for Prue is over and done like this. Why wasn't this episode the finale? I mean, I enjoy Be Careful What You Wish For, but I feel as though confronting the demon that killed Patty deserved a little more than just random episode 8 of season 2. And can you imagine what it would have been like to see Shannon Doherty direct this one? There's so much of this season that I want to like, but sometimes they just make it so hard.
You can't do this.
Phoebe, we're all gonna do it, sooner or later. I'm just doing it first.
I know this is among the favourite seasons for a lot of fans, so I'll refrain from kicking out your darlings for much longer, but I do want to say that this kind of quality slipping in the sophomore year isn't unique to Charmed. Game of Thrones, for example, had trouble building upon the strong way their first season ended, so pacing and when to deviate from the source material was a big problem, even though it still contained one of the series' best episodes.
Those are brave men knocking at our door! Let's go kill them!
And like Charmed, it rebounded to reach a peak in its 3rd and 4th seasons. Spartacus, Blood and Sand likewise had to deal with the loss of 2 major cast members and a huge setting change for its chronological 2nd season, and any problems were mostly solved by War of the Damned. And some other shows slip in their 2nd seasons and don't regain their quality. At least with Charmed, the weak 2nd season still contains 2 of my favourite episodes in the whole series, and there are still aesthetics and tones that I like. Sometimes I'll be like, I'm in the mood for season 2, check one of these babies out.
You don't have to convince us.
Because, like I've said with season 6, Charmed is still Charmed at the end of the day, and even in a weak season or episode or scene, you won't have to squint or search too hard to find something to love.